What's going on, Tallahassee? Welcome to our Mean Girls Day, October 3rd edition of FSU Weather. I'm meteorologist Jay Carsons.
And I'm student meteorologist Maddie Seiler. Another warm and record-breaking day here in Tallahassee. We capped out at 97 degrees, beating the record that was set just yesterday.
And then we tied the record the day before that here. So
Yes.
4 consecutive days now in Tallahassee that we have at least tied or broken a record high here. It's pretty unprecedented, and it's not just us that are really feeling that heat.
Right, over 66 counties today made a record for their temperatures for the month of October.
The entire month.
And so I don't see that letting up anytime soon with what's coming in with our forecast.
Yeah, let's hope that, the next 5 to 7 days things are going to be changing here. It's going to be looking a little bit more positive for us. Could see some rain chances starting to work back into our picture, of course. Just one more thing I wanted to note real quick on the notes here. Raleigh, North Carolina actually hit 100 degrees today, and that was the first time that they had done so for the entire calendar year.
Right.
So, again, pretty ridiculous stuff going on across the country.
Not just us that is reaching those record temperatures. It's pretty widespread across the entire southeast area.
Yeah, but again, back to Tallahassee, we'll see our temperatures hopefully dropping down into those 80s. I don't want to spoil the forecast too much for you guys here, but things are going to be looking up. If we go up toward the north, we're really going to start to see changes in the next couple of days. I was seeing forecasts for Greenville, Spartanburg, South Carolina being down in the 50s for the lows. Personally, I wish I could just drive up there right now and experience that myself, but we'll have to take what we can get here on Tally.
But for now, we're going to head things off to the wall with Dylan to get our first look at the overview of the show.
Thank you very much, guys. And here's our updated almanac for today. And you guys talk about that record-setting heating. We're 4 degrees above our record for today, so that's insane. And our average, we're 12 degrees on our high and 6 degrees on our low. So that puts into perspective that we're 2 times as hotter than our average for our highs than we are for our lows. So it's very hot out there in the afternoons, not too bad in the evenings. Right now, 95 degrees, a nice little breeze to cool you off just a bit. But as you can see behind me, no clouds in the sky, so you're getting that direct sunlight if you go outside. So unfortunately, you're going to be a little hotter than normal. And then as you go into the satellite and radar, nothing for now as high pressure is taking hold, but we'll see a pattern change into this weekend as we've talked about before, and that's going to be due to this cold front over to our area that's going to be draped down and moved eastward into our area. You can see it here. That low pressure system is going to bring a backdoor cold front, which Zach and I will talk about on our closing desk, but it's going to bring some cooler air, a little bit of a rain chance, which we need, and some better conditions. But into tomorrow, another hot day with a high of 92 degrees, sunny conditions as well, so keeping that theme of just straight sun heat for tomorrow. And then for the rest of the show, we're going to talk about how hot it still is, and it will still continue to be for just a little bit. Jake and Zach will talk about hurricane climatology and how it's changing for October. And then we'll have your fun-filled lifestyle forecast as you get into a fun-filled weekend, if you have a fun-filled weekend. But now let's send it over to Zach for a fun-filled Southeast.
Thanks, Dylan. Right now, we're seeing a triple-digit temperature in Montgomery, 100 degrees. A little unusual for this time of the year considering we're starting into October. And for the most part, we're seeing 90s across the map with a few 80s over here, a little bit more towards the west, Little Rock and Shreveport, but those are high 80s. So we are definitely warm across most of the southeast region. And our dew points, so we're seeing drier air more towards the Atlanta area, so like more around North Carolina, South Carolina, but we're seeing more of those muggy conditions as we go a little bit more south into Florida, and Shreveport particularly is one of the muggier spots on the map with a dew point of 72 there. So our winds, we're starting to see the winds start to pick up a little bit around Shreveport and Little Rock, and we can expect those winds to start picking up in that area over the next few hours as a front is going to be approaching that area. We are having breezy conditions here in Tallahassee. Orlando at 12-mile-per-hour winds there as well. And our satellite, so nothing to really speak of around Tallahassee right now, and that's been most of the story lately. We haven't seen a lot of rain. We are starting to see a little bit of thunderstorms develop. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning right here in Texas, where this little orange spot is. We are starting to see some of those thunderstorms take off, and we can see where that front is, and we can expect this front to bring more weather as it moves towards the east. So here's where that front is. We can see a low pressure system over Texas, and this low front is going to continue to push through. It's going to eventually come and become a backdoor cold front, and we'll be seeing impacts in that and potentially some rainfall from it as we move on later to the week here in Tallahassee. So here's our upper level water vapor, and what we're seeing is this is dry air, so not really much to speak of as far as rain right now in Tallahassee, very dry conditions. These are where those thunderstorms are, so what this is this is showing the height. So those clouds are way up in the atmosphere, and that means that they're seeing potential thunderstorms, downpours there, and those are the showers we're seeing on our radar. And we can see this frontal line along here that's just going to continue to push through the southeast over the next couple of days. Our future cast, we're seeing sort of this cloud line. That front's going to try to come through, but it's eventually going to become a backdoor cold front and move into our area. So we're going to not see rain immediately, but we may be seeing rain maybe later into the weekend for here in Tallahassee. Our drought monitor has just been updated today, and we're seeing some extreme drought in the central Texas region where this red is. We also do see some more severe drought in the region South Alabama right here as well. Here in Tallahassee, we're in a pretty severe drought. We haven't been seeing a lot of rain, so maybe this frontal rain that's just driven from the front will help relieve some of that. And our temperatures for tonight, we're going to be getting down to 69 degrees here in Tallahassee. Clear skies, 70 in Montgomery, so staying in the 60s and 70s for most of the region. And looking into tomorrow, 96. Montgomery going to be hitting 100 degrees again tomorrow. That's going to be the big story there. And now let's pass things off to Maddie.
Thank you, Zach. So we're going to start off with our local forecast. Starting off by overlooking Doak Campbell Stadium, not much different than what we have been seeing this past month. Sunny skies, not too many clouds in sight. Starting off this evening, we are sitting at 95 degrees sunny. We do have some east to southeasterly winds coming in at 11 miles per hour, offering us a little bit of relief from that heat. Looking at our satellite and radar for the area, this is a loop. This is not just a picture. It just shows you how dry the area is into this evening and into tomorrow morning. We're not seeing many clouds or any precipitation coming in throughout the region. Now, Florida is definitely living up to its name of the Sunshine State. Really no place in Florida is seeing any precipitation over the next few days. Maybe a few spotty showers out in southern Florida, but we do see some, like Zach was mentioning, spotty showers and even some strong thunderstorms in parts of Texas and Louisiana. And we're going to be seeing a cold front moving in, which is where these are developing across the southeast region, giving us some relief in the next coming days. Just like I mentioned, this cold front will be moving in throughout the next few days, giving us some precipitation and some lower temperatures. And we do see some lines of storms and spotty showers making their way across the Midwestern region. Zooming in locally to our temperatures though, right now, as mentioned before, Tallahassee sitting at 95 degrees, Thomasville as well at 95, pretty much widespread across the area. We're sitting in mid-90s, but when you get down to Apalachicola, we are sitting at 85 along the coast. Coming into our dew points, a little bit drier than what we have been seeing. 67 in Tallahassee, still a little muggy outside. But as we get into southern Georgia, we're seeing Bainbridge at 62, Thomasville at 63. So some drier weather up there. Coming into our heat index, Tallahassee is capping it out for us at 99 degrees. Up at Bainbridge, 97, Thomasville, 96. So still muggy, still warm for this time of year, but nothing different than what we have been seeing the past few days. My graphics aren't working too much right now, but here we go, getting into tonight's forecast. Sorry about that. Getting down to Tallahassee, we're getting down to 69 degrees. Definitely a relief from what we have been seeing. Over in Perry, down to the upper 60s at 67. St. Mark's coming in at 71, as well as Apalachicola coming in at 71 as well. We're looking at our 7-day forecast. Like we have been seeing, tomorrow we're going to get up to 96 degrees, just pretty much a carbon copy of what we have seen today. 93 for Saturday, and then when we see that cold front starting to move in, that's when we see those temperatures drop. 90 degrees for the high on Sunday with 40% chance of showers, which I hope we get. We definitely need that. And then dropping into the upper 80s throughout the rest of the week. We're going to see some rain chances, especially on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday next week, and I'm sure we'll get into that rest of the show. But for right now, I'm going to give you one last look at our overview, and I'm going to send things back to the desk with Jake and Zach.
Thanks, Maddie. Me and Jake are here right now, and we're going to talk about how our hurricane climatology is about to shift in the upcoming months into October. So typically we see most of the development region off the coast of Africa, more towards the east. But now in the month of October, we start to see a lot of hurricanes start to form more off the coast of Central America and the southern Gulf.
Yeah, so if you remember, the climatological peak of hurricane season is generally around late August to early September or so, and a lot of the storms that form are associated with what's called African easterly waves, which come off the coast of Africa and are the consequence of a jet stream at higher levels, basically. And this is because of a really cool temperature contrast, actually, between the Sahara Desert and some of the cooler land and water down to the south over here. So these waves are eventually allowed to develop and then get pushed over into the Atlantic Ocean, where they're eventually able to spin up into tropical cyclones. But by this time of year, that weakens pretty substantially. And again, we don't see as many that form out in that region.
And we can look back at Hurricane Michael from last season to see where this generally develops. So we saw Hurricane Michael sort of form off that coast of Central America. It hit the Gulf and it just sort of moved up. So we definitely can see some strong storms out of this sort of area here. They don't always have to come from the Atlantic.
Yeah, and this time of year, especially given the recent heat that we've seen here around Tallahassee, you still see those very favorable sea surface temperatures in the Caribbean as well as the Gulf of Mexico. So while we don't see many of those what we call main development region storms anymore, we do have plenty that can still develop in the Caribbean as well as the Gulf. And a key example that Zach was just alluding to with regards to Hurricane Michael was what's called the Central American Gyre. And this is basically a pretty constant low pressure system that is present off the coast of, say, Honduras, Nicaragua, some of the other Central American countries way off in the southwestern Caribbean. And every now and then these disturbances can eventually strengthen and get kind of pulled up away from this parent low, essentially, move up into the open waters in the western Caribbean and eventually become tropical cyclones. That is a key, Hurricane Michael again was a key example of one of those storms. And once that got going in the Gulf of Mexico, obviously we all know what happened next. So although we're past the peak of hurricane season, we are not out of the woods yet, and we'll keep watching that. No activity expected in the next few days, but we'll keep an eye for you guys.
And with these warmer sea temperatures in the Gulf, it doesn't take a lot to get it sort of going and fuel the fire for those severe storms. So we're definitely going to be watching the Gulf over these next few months.
Yeah. Thankfully, things are looking pretty quiet right now. Let's go out to the national picture and see where the fun weather is happening. Here's that 7-day forecast for you guys one more time locally. But now we will go into our national here. Still watching for the key spot the front game here across the center part of the country. The key temperature contrast that I want to point out to you guys, Memphis to Kansas City, not too far of a drive, maybe about 6-7 hour drive. You're dropping 37 degrees from 95 over towards 58 degrees. And as you go up towards Chicago, also pretty chilly, 60 degrees, feeling much more comfortable there. But that heat and humidity is still sticking around in the southeast. Relatively speaking, those dew points aren't too bad. 66 in New Orleans, 67 in Tallahassee, a little bit below what we're accustomed to seeing in more of those summer months. But again, it is October 3rd. It is not July 72nd like many of the internet memes out there have been claiming over the past couple of days. But again, as you pass that front off to the north and west, you see these much lower dew points. Again, a 17-degree drop as you go from Memphis towards Kansas City, some even lower values in parts of, say, Minnesota and the other portions of the high plains. You're not really seeing too much of the winds. A big feature to point out, though, is that wind shift that does tend to occur behind these northerly and northwesterly winds behind the cold front in places like, again, Chicago, towards Louisville and central and southern Missouri as well. We still see some evidence of that ridging pattern with some clockwise flow in the southeast. That's starting to break down as this front approaches its way towards our region here. And again, you're going to see that weather beginning to change around Tallahassee. For now, very dry air at the upper levels, really throughout the eastern Gulf of Mexico. You see some storms in Louisiana as well as portions of eastern Texas off to the southeast of Dallas, but that's not really going to be an issue for us anytime soon. Still dry air being the dominant factor as you go basically east of the Mississippi River right about now, and we'll see a couple of spotty showers in portions of Alabama and Georgia, but nothing's going to ruin those afternoon plans for anybody. But again, this cold front's what we're going to continue to watch here. You see this low in upstate New York draping down into Texas here, and again, bringing some much cooler and drier air behind it in states now like Ohio and Indiana that saw record high temperatures yesterday are starting to feel much more comfortable through the day today. We're going into the northeast here, and we see some rainfall in upstate New York, pushing through other portions of New England. Boston starting to get on some rain, so could see some airport delays out there at Logan International Airport. Out in the Pacific Northwest, we're seeing, again, a pretty classical example of these mountain-induced showers here as you go through the Cascade Mountains off to the east of Seattle, for example. You see this low spinning off of the northwestern coast just to the west of Vancouver. And off towards the southwest, a flash flood watch in effect, as well as flash flood warnings in these red boxes here in portions of southern New Mexico. So some serious big-time rainfall occurring there, which is good for the drought situation in those locations. But areas of Texas as well as the southeast now, as of today, are upgraded to an extreme drought level 3 out of 4. on the drought category. We'll continue to watch that. Hopefully going to get some rain in those spots in the next few days to quell those concerns. As for tonight, looking at pretty much a constant pattern from what we've seen the last day or two. 61 degrees in Memphis, starting to see evidence of a cool down there, but still warm and muggy in the southeast before that front tries to advance its way just a little bit more. 84 degrees in Memphis for that afternoon high tomorrow. But look at those 50s up in the Great Lakes, feeling much more comfortable. This Chicago native wishing I could maybe just get back there and experience that one more time. Now let's send things over to Zach to zoom in on a much hotter city of Tallahassee.
Thanks, Jake. So let's take a look more locally here. And we're just looking at our weather stem camera. We can start to see that sun set over Doak Campbell Stadium there. Clear skies all around the region. And right now, sitting at 95 degrees, pretty warm. Winds out of the east-southeast. 11 miles per hour, very sunny conditions out there. And then as we can see, there's no cloud cover, so the sun's just going to keep on coming in until it sets. So no rain, no clouds, nothing to speak of, a very clear radar there. As we zoom out to our southeast, we can see what our weather maker is going to be over these next few days. We can see some storms start to develop a little bit more towards our west. And this line here is our frontal line, and that's what's going to be coming in and potentially bring us some rainy conditions late into the weekend. And here's that front right here. So it's going to just sort of start to push through. And actually, it's going to affect us as a backdoor cold front. So it's going to be coming out of the east once it actually arrives here in Tallahassee. So right now, we're sitting at 95 degrees and no clouds, no rain, just sunny conditions all across the region. Bainbridge may be seeing a small cloud or two, but for the most part, sunny skies and fairly hot conditions for the evening hours. 92 in Perry, cooler conditions down by the coast, sunny skies there in Apalachicola as well. And we're feeling pretty dry for the most part. 67 is a fairly comfortable dew point, not a lot of moisture in the air, but Apalachicola down by the coast, they're getting a lot of that Gulf moisture, so they're a lot more humid in that area. And because of these dew points, we're sort of feeling a little bit warmer than what the actual temperature is. So we're almost feeling like 100 degrees here in Tallahassee, 1 degree shy, 99 as it feels like temperature, 96 in Perry. Down by Apalachicola, they are feeling more humid, but their temperature isn't as warm. So they're feeling upper 80s there. And for tonight, we're going to be seeing clear skies again, so not much cloud cover. Bainbridge still showing a few clouds, but overall most of the region, clear skies, a good night to go stargazing, comfortable conditions, lower 70s to upper 60s for tonight's forecast, with the cool spots being a little bit more towards our east. Perry, 67, and Valdosta, 67 as well. And looking into tomorrow and the next 7 days, we're going to be seeing lows in the upper 60s, so not quite 70s, fairly comfortable, but we are going to be getting pretty warm. 96 is the high tomorrow, and then as we go into the weekend, we're going to start to see temperatures start to creep down as we get more cloud cover, and we're going to start to see 80s going into next week as our temperatures start to decrease. And now let's pass things off to Maddie.
Thank you, Zach. Getting into my favorite part of the show, the lifestyle forecast. This is where we talk about how all of this weather is going to affect you the next few days. Looking at our satellite and radar, just like before, very clear throughout Tallahassee and very clear throughout the entire Panhandle. Getting into our future forecast within the next few days, still clear on Thursday and Friday. And by Saturday, we're going to start seeing some of those clouds come in from that cold front that'll be moving across the southeast. Getting into Strozer and Dirac forecast for those of you who are studying for midterms and getting ready for those tests next week. Although it is muggy outside at 95, we are seeing inside temperatures of 75 degrees. So be prepared for that. Take a sweatshirt if you need it. Looking at our Friday night forecast, though, getting down to 69 degrees. A great evening to go out with your friends, mostly clear, and we are going to have a good breeze out of the southeast at 8 miles per hour. Coming into the Love 307 forecast, where all of my meteorology friends and I like to spend our days, Friday night getting down to 71, studying for those exams next week. Mostly clear as well, and southeasterly winds at 11 miles per hour, giving us a nice breeze throughout the evening. Our nightlife forecast, for those of you who are trying to get an early start on the Friday evening at those pre-banding times, 95. So still a little bit warm, but as you're standing in line to get into those areas, you're going to have a 78 degrees, and inside you're going to be at 77, making for a great evening out with your friends. Looking at our Saturday morning forecast, 69 degrees, getting down to those upper 60s will offer a lot of relief. Still mostly clear as that cold front will be moving in later that evening, but southeasterly winds still at 11 miles per hour. Coming in at Sunday morning, though, we're capping off at 80 degrees at the morning and then getting a little bit warmer throughout the day. Sunny conditions, though, definitely take advantage of that. Get out there this weekend. Winds out of the west at 3 miles per hour. Looking though at our 3-day forecast, we're looking at 96 degrees on Friday, 93 on Saturday, and then as that cold front is going to be moving in, we're seeing those shower chances increase to about 20% with still a high of 90 degrees on Sunday. Giving you a last look at that, I'm going to hand things over to Dylan to take our last look at Florida.
Thank you very much, Maddie. And fortunately or unfortunately, FSU doesn't have a football game this week, so we don't have to watch them lose. So that's some good news. Next week, though, is going to be a little abysmal when we play Clemson in Clemson. But here in Florida, though, we're seeing the Sunshine State. Gosh, I got tripped up on that. The Sunshine State. A lot of clouds, though, farther south you go. We got that sea breeze influence making its hold. And you do have some nice moist dew points farther south due to that sea breeze. So you're seeing winds coming out of the east, blowing moisture into the western part of the state. That's making it feel a little more muggy. But farther you go north, you do have some muggy conditions as well, as that land has been very moist even without the sea breeze. And looking at our temperatures, for the next couple of days, Miami's seeing a high of 89, but seeing increased rain showers as you go into Sunday. So they are going to see that continued sea breeze front action. Down into Tampa, though, seeing relatively similar conditions for the next 3 days, seeing 92, 92, and 91, with only a 20% chance of rain for the next 3 days. And then going into Orlando, where Mickey Mouse is located, 88 degrees with that front moving into our area. So we're going to see the front move into South Florida, or the central part of the state, onto Sunday with that 40% chance of rain and those lows dropping, or those highs dropping only 2 degrees. And then going up into Jacksonville, you do have that more increased rain chance the farther you go north. The higher, the more stronger that cold front is really going to be. 88 degrees on Saturday. Sunday seeing 85 degrees, and that rain chance going from 50 to 30% between those 2 days. And then going out west to Pensacola, you're going from 95 all the way down to 88, so some relief there, some warranted relief and some nice relief, matter of fact, and 30% chance of rain. So bringing that cooler temperatures and those moisture conditions that the soil needs at this time when we've seen a lot less rainfall. And you can see on the radar, here's what's going to become that backdoor cold front, which Zach and I will talk about in just a bit. But you'll see that the cold front will move into the area, bring some nice cooler conditions. But into our satellite radar, only seeing those sea breeze showers down into Miami. So that's going to move out of the area and continue on through the night, and then out into central and northern Florida, seeing clear conditions for now, and even into the Panhandle, seeing similar conditions as we've seen here in Tallahassee and into those areas. And that drought monitor, you can see the entire northern part of the state in at least a above abnormally dry condition, even seeing some moderate to severe droughts in certain areas. So this rain with the front is definitely necessary. And you're not going to see that, though, for the next day. You'll see Friday staying relatively clear, seeing those sea breeze showers coming off the coast and bringing some rain into central and south Florida. Maybe a possible shower or two into Pensacola as that front starts to make its way here, but not seeing the full effects until Saturday and Sunday. Tonight, though, getting down to 69 degrees and 67 in Tallahassee and Gainesville. That's due to radiational cooling that's allowing us to get cooler than much of the other cities in our state. And tomorrow, well, seeing much of the same with high conditions, or warm conditions, with highs in the mid to upper 90s. Now let's send it over to Jake to take a last local look.
I'm sorry, Dylan, but I gotta call you out. You kind of deserve that little sunshine blunder with that negativity. Get the football negativity out of here. We got a 2-game winning streak going on, and it's looking great over Doak Campbell Stadium right now, even though the guys are not going to be playing here this weekend. The sun is setting just about 7:25 is when that sunset's going to be, but it should be a nice one out there. Get some pictures, send them to us on Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media platform you prefer. Currently, we're at 95 degrees. Sunny conditions still prevailing across Tallahassee. Winds are going to be out of the east-southeast at 11 miles per hour, making things feel maybe not quite as miserable, despite the fact that we had the all-time hottest day in October in this city. And again, no threat of rainfall anytime soon for us. We'll see in about 2 or 3 days or so, but as far as this radar is concerned, nothing more than just a couple of low clouds that you may see every now and then across the region. Not really seeing any across Tallahassee right now. But again, we zoom out to our northwest, things are starting to change. That ridging is beginning to break down. We're seeing some afternoon pop-up storms firing up as far to the east as, say, Columbus, Georgia area, and really expanding off to the west in Texas as well as Louisiana. And again, it's associated with the front that's going to continue to slowly march its way down towards the south and east and pass through in the next 3 to 4 days here and start to really begin this cool down that we're looking forward to oh so much here around the Big Bend, because oh boy do we need it with these temperatures. 95 still in Tallahassee, Apalachicola feeling like a safe haven at 85 degrees, albeit a very humid 85. 96 up in Bainbridge. I've been seeing some numbers trying to get to 100 as the day has gone along. Again, it is early October. This is not supposed to really happen this time of year. The dew point's largely in those 60s, so a little bit drier than what we've seen the last couple of days, but still a little bit on the muggy side for what we're accustomed to seeing this time of year. You combine those two together, you get that heat index, and oh boy, is it still feeling toasty. 99 is the heat index in Tallahassee, 92 in Thomasville. Pretty much 90s anywhere across the board as of now. As for tonight's forecast, we'll see those clear skies continuing, which is going to allow for a little bit more of that radiational cooling, as Dylan was talking about earlier here. 69 for that low in Tally, 68 in Thomasville, Valdosta, and Perry being the cool spots. A little bit more inland, as to be expected, at just about 67 degrees. But now we look at that 7-day forecast here, and again, things are marginally going to be on the uptick for us, especially in terms of the rainfall. We really need that. Still about 40% chances, which is pretty marginal, what we kind of expect for the typical summertime anyways. But again, we need to get through a couple of days of heat and sunshine still. 96 degrees is going to be that forecast high for tomorrow, cooling down a little bit to 93 for the afternoon on Saturday. So FSU soccer, 1 o'clock, playing against Pittsburgh. I'll be out there. It's going to be a pretty toasty one, but otherwise a nice day to get outside and watch the Knolls. And as we work through the rest of the week here, again, high temperatures cooling down into those upper 80s. I guess fall is here, am I right?
Hey, the leaves aren't falling though yet. It's a little too early for that. But we've talked about this backdoor cold front. You saw that on the 7-day. So Zach, what is a backdoor cold front?
So the backdoor cold front, typically our average cold fronts more come from the west and they move more towards the southeast. But this cold front is going to be coming more push from the Atlantic and come up from the eastern side, more from the Jacksonville region coming to Tallahassee.
Right, we'll see rainfall patterns similar to what we saw earlier in the week where the rain is moving from east to west. And that's because we saw that low pressure system and that front drive down. Well, that low is going to move farther south. High pressure is going to kick some cooler air behind it to the east of that low pressure, and we'll see the benefits of that.
And definitely this is something unusual, and it's going to be bringing unusual weather that we haven't been seeing in a while. It's going to be bringing rain, and it's going to be bringing cooler temperatures, something that we've just been hoping for in October. We've been breaking a lot of records now in October, so we definitely need a change.
Well, even just the lower temperatures, we have higher increased cloud cover, which is going to make it feel less warm because that direct sunlight's not going to be hitting you.
Let's take a look at that 7-day so we can see where that cold front's going to start to push in on the weekend. We can see those shower activity sort of start to increase 40%, and we can start to see those afternoon highs dip into the 80s, something that we're really looking forward to here in Tallahassee, something a little more fall-like at least.
Well, I mean, I don't even consider that really fall-like. It's still very warm out despite being below what we've seen for the last couple of days. Still not the best conditions, but better than what we've seen.
Well, at least whenever Michael makes his trip out to the pumping patch, he won't be sweating as much, but it'll be fairly comfortable for him. As everybody goes out to the pumpkin patch in October, we're still going to be seeing seasonably warmer temperatures, but the cold front is going to bring a little bit of relief.
Yeah, hopefully by the time our next football home game comes around, we won't be seeing 95 as the high or the starting temperature for the game. So this does give some hope, even though we don't have a game for a couple of weeks.
The team will be at Clemson this week, so a little bit of relief with
actually next week.
Or next week. We are on bye. Next week we're going to Clemson, so they'll be moving north. So cooler temperatures for the football. But as always, like us on Facebook, Twitter, and you can always see us here on YouTube, FSU Weather.
Yeah, and thanks to WeatherStem for this awesome video from the Doak Campbell Stadium WeatherStem showing all the clouds that have moved through over that day.
And thank you to all our viewers for watching today. Me and Dylan are here, and we are signing off.
Thank you. Have a good night.